Hello, thanks for joining me today for this early September update of the Ukraine conflict. With this installment, I'll start with a geopolitical update, followed by a regional overview, and then a brief update on each of the contested areas. Finally, I'll cover some lessons learned with a bit of analysis to paint a picture for you on the current state of affairs. Putin visited Mongolia on Tuesday, where he met with Mongolian leader Kursk. He is looking to strengthen relations between Russia and Mongolia. Western media is blasting Mongolia for not complying with an ICC mandate to arrest Putin. The ICC is the International Criminal Court. But Mongolia took no action to arrest Putin, as the ICC is instructed. Iran is expected to deliver ballistic missiles to Russia to support the Russian invasion of Ukraine. They are going to provide Abadil close-range ballistic missiles and the Fateh 360 short-range ballistic missiles, or SRBMs. This is significant because the use of these SRBMs from Iran will allow Russia to preserve stockpiles of their Iskander inventory. Zelensky has proposed an Indian peace summit, apparently to solicit support for Ukraine from the global south. Modi has indicated that this will not happen without Putin, and he is right to do so. I mean, any peace summit would need to include your adversary, I think, yes? Russian forces launched a second major aerial attack on Ukraine. This one was bad. They aimed 4 missiles and 27 attack drones towards Ukraine. 3 ballistic missiles and 1 guided missile was reportedly used in the attack, in which the Ukrainian Air Force shot down 27 of the 35 Russia-launched drones. 2 ballistic missiles got through on the second and hit a military academy and hospital in Poltava, which resulted in at least 51 deaths. 3 people also died in the attack across Zaporizhia and the central city of Dnipro. In the Kursk Oblast, ISW reports that Russian forces have apparently shut down Ukrainian advances in the vicinity of Koronevo. The Russians regained territory east of Koronevo. Russian forces also advanced in Ogovka, which is east of Koronevo. That 30,000 Russian troops appear to have brought the Kursk counteroffensive to slow considerably. Some analysts see Russia surrounding the Ukrainian-held area and executing a pincer movement to isolate and entrap Ukrainian forces. On the eastern front, ISW reports that Russian forces' main effort, which is to capture the Donetsk Oblast, is advancing. Russian forces advanced near Chasiv Yar and in eastern Kalinivka, north of Chasiv Yar. Russian forces have moderately advanced in the northeast of Kalinivka, which is also north of Chasiv Yar. Russian forces advanced in Toretsk as well, specifically in the southeast of Toretsk. In Pokrovsk, Ukrainian forces are fighting valiantly to defend this critical logistics hub. They regained some lost positions southeast of Pokrovsk. Russian forces have enveloped and seized Horodivka, southeast of Pokrovsk, and are currently focusing on offensive operations on Novohorodivka. Pokrovsk is important because it's a logistics hub. I know you've heard about it lately, but it's so important because it's positioned on the interchange of 2 major supply highways. These highways lead to the key inner cities within the Donetsk Oblast, including Chasiv Yar and Konstantinivka. The other highway leads back towards the central Ukraine and Kiev and Dnipro, while the town also has a massive rail transfer point, or RTP. So now let's head up north. Up north in the Kursk Oblast, fighting continues, but is less contested as Russian forces have made small advances within the north of Vovchansk. As you can see, they have secured much of the north already, but Ukrainian forces are holding the line along the Vovcha River. The Russians can't seem to get across the Vovcha. I hope that the Ukrainians can hold them there. While Russian advances towards Pokrovsk have slowed due to Ukrainian defenses, it looks as if the seizure of Pokrovsk is indeed imminent. Overall, Russia has stepped up the intensity of their offensive along the eastern front, and as discussed, it looks as if the Ukrainian strategy to pull forces from the main effort over to Kursk has failed. Also, as discussed, Russia shifted Baltic Sea Fleet forces, the VDV, the 200th Motorized Rifle Brigade, and conscripts in order to build out the 30,000-man Russian force defending in the Kursk Oblast. Russia can supply the troops. It's simple arithmetic. Ukrainian armed forces just lack the ability to enlist 30,000 recruits quickly and then train them in a controlled, safe, and geographically distinct environment for 2 to 6 months. Russia does have this capability. Most people just don't understand the depth to which Russia can reach. Their geopopulation footprint is just enormous. A couple of months ago, back in July, the Wall Street Journal published an article titled, "High-Tech American Weapons Work Against Russia Until They Don't." It explains in surprising detail how Russia is learning how to defeat Western precision weapons and munitions in Ukraine. It begins by explaining how the Excalibur GPS-guided precision artillery round performed wonders when it was first used early in the war in Ukraine. Now, in 2024, not so much. Because Russia is learning how to defeat GPS-guided weapon systems with electronic warfare countermeasures. The Russians are discovering our vulnerabilities, and these jamming capabilities are now being employed for use against HIMARS, ATACMS, among other Western systems. Many of these systems, well, the later blocks anyways, were developed and fielded during the global war on terror. They were used against Iraqi insurgents, the Taliban, and people, well, let's say they were living in austere conditions. We were giving each other high fives as these systems were highly effective at the time, and we always knew that we had a JDAM that could rain down support from the sky. Now the playing field is much different. The Russians are tech savvy and tenacious. My concern is that besides the Wall Street Journal, are Western officials on the job? Are they working to address the rapidly evolving electronic battlefield? These are the types of lessons that we should be acknowledging and working to address. And that brings us to the end of this update. I'd like to thank you for watching. Hopefully you're getting something out of my briefs, and if you'd like to see more or something different, let me know in the comments. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and hit subscribe if you like the brief style of these updates. I like to keep these at 10 minutes or less. Unless it's a history video, those go over a lot. Anyways, thanks again, and see you next time.
On the island of Cuba. Within the past week, unmistakable evidence has established the fact that a series of offensive missile sites is now in preparation on that imprisoned island. The purpose of these bases can be none other than to provide a nuclear strike capability against the Western Hemisphere. Neither the United States of America nor the world community of nations can tolerate deliberate deception and offensive threats on the part of any nation. We no longer live in a world where only the actual firing of weapons represents a sufficient challenge to a nation's security to constitute maximum peril.